There is a question your brain asks in the silence between one thing and the next. You don't always hear it, but it's there. And it's a question that no law of evolution should have ever allowed. Room 7. Pediatric neurology ward. The boy is 9 years old. His name is Elias. He has been nonverbal for 6 months following a severe traumatic brain injury. And today, for reasons no one in that hospital can explain, he speaks. Not to his mother, who has been sitting beside his bed every single day for half a year. Not to the nurses who know his favorite color and bring him blue jello on Tuesdays. He speaks to the ceiling. His mother calls the attending physician. She stands in the doorway and watches Elias stare upward with an expression she has never seen on a child's face. Not happiness exactly, not fear, something older than both. "Who are you talking to?" his mother asks, her voice barely holding. Elias turns slowly. His eyes are clear in a way they haven't been since before the accident. "The one who was here the whole time," he says. And then he goes quiet again. His mother steps out into the hallway. She leans against the wall. She doesn't cry. She just stands there for a long time, pressing her hand flat against her sternum as if trying to keep something from spilling out. Later, when the ward has gone quiet and Elias is asleep, she sits alone in the family lounge and asks a question out loud to no one. What is it in us that reaches towards something we cannot see? And why does it feel, every single time, like reaching home? You know this feeling, don't you? Maybe it happened during a piece of music that broke you open without warning. Maybe it was a moment of silence so complete that something in you went still. And in that stillness, you felt accompanied. Maybe it was a child's face, a hospital room, the last light of an evening that was too beautiful to be accidental. And for just a second, before your mind closed back around it, you knew. You couldn't have said what you knew, but you knew. 3,000 years ago, a king who had everything, wealth, wisdom, power, pleasure beyond imagining, sat down and wrote the most honest sentence in the history of human thought. Not a triumph, not a proclamation, a confession. He has set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Solomon wasn't writing theology from a distance. He was writing what he had lived. He had tried to fill that ache with everything a human being can accumulate. At the far end of every pleasure, every achievement, every answer, the ache was still there. Unchanged, undimmed, reaching. The Hebrew word he uses for eternity is olam. It doesn't simply mean a long time. It means the hidden dimension. The thing that stretches beyond what eyes can see and hands can touch. The beyond. And Solomon says, God placed this word, this reality, not as a concept to be learned, not as a doctrine to be accepted, but as a structural feature of what we are. Wired in, present from birth, impossible to remove. Here is something extraordinary about the human brain. It contains networks of neural activity that have no evolutionary justification. Let that settle for a moment. There are circuits in your brain, right now in your skull, active as you listen to this, that natural selection had no reason to build. Circuits that activate not in response to hunger or danger or the drive to reproduce, but in response to beauty that is greater than it needs to be. In response to silence that feels inhabited. In response to the sense irrational, insistent, undeniable, that something is watching and that something loves what it sees. Evolution is ruthlessly efficient. It does not build what it doesn't need. And yet here, in 3 pounds of tissue governed by chemistry and electricity, is a network that reaches toward the transcendent. A circuit that nobody programmed, that no survival pressure required, that only does one thing. It makes you reach. The Apostle Paul, writing to a church in Rome, said something that the neuroscientists of our generation are still catching up to. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. At Romans 1:20. The Greek word Paul uses, kathoratai, means perceived with full clarity, not glimpsed at the edge of vision, not argued toward through philosophy. Seen. Paul is saying that the evidence is not in the arguments. It is in the architecture. It is in the way your chest opens when you hear something true. In the way beauty undoes you before your mind can explain why. In the way a 9-year-old boy with a damaged brain looks at the ceiling and speaks to someone only he can see. The invisible made visible through what has been made. Through you. 2 weeks after Elias spoke to the ceiling, his mother found the attending physician in the hallway. She was not a religious woman. She wanted to be clear about that. She wasn't going to make more of it than it was. But she needed to tell someone what had happened after everyone left the room that day. I asked him again that evening. She said, "Who was here the whole time?" She looked at her hands. He said, "The one who holds everything, the one who doesn't let go." She looked up. He's 9 years old. He doesn't go to church. He's never been taught that language. Where does something like that come from? I want to tell you what I believe. The ache you feel, the one that no achievement quiets, no relationship fully fills, no success finally answers, is not a wound. It is not anxiety to be medicated, emptiness to be distracted, or evidence that something is wrong with you. It is the most honest thing about you. It is Solomon's Olam, the eternity God placed in your heart before you were born, doing exactly what it was designed to do. Reaching, searching, refusing to be satisfied by anything that is only temporary. Because you were not made for temporary things. You were made for the one who was there the whole time. The one who holds everything. The one who doesn't let go. Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. Psalm 139, verses 1 to 2. The one who designed that circuit in your brain. The one who placed the olam in your heart. Knows every thought that moves through those networks. Not as surveillance, not as judgment, as the fierce, unrelenting attention of someone who made you and has never once looked away. That circuit is active right now. It has been waiting for this moment your entire life. This is the voice that points beyond itself. I'm Dr. Giovanni Vitale, and we are only just beginning.